Hello everybody, welcome to Cape Rugby TV, Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock. Once again, nice to have you along. And I think we're now into our third round, and Club Rugby fever is, as usual, getting rather exuberant in Cape Town, so to speak. Lots of things happening in the world of Club Rugby. Tonight on the panel, very special guest, but before I welcome him, let me welcome the usual convicts, Morgan Newman. Hello, Morgs.
How's it, Japes? How are you going?
I'm pretty good. You're looking in good spirits?
Yeah. Positive. Third week of Club Rugby, so yeah, looking good.
And the General Manager of Amateur Rugby at Western Province Rugby Football Union. Nice to have you here, Mr. Danny Jones.
Thank you, JP. It's good to be here.
Yeah. No, it's long overdue, eh?
Absolutely. But we're here to share whatever we need to share with you. And yeah, I'm going to enjoy tonight.
Well, I'm hoping that I'm not going to get up into a Morgan and the Danny sharing story, because it looked like off air you guys were already sharing a whole lot of old stories.
Look, with Mr. Jones being my manager for a few years, we got some good stories to tell, but we'll keep that for off air, I think.
Yeah, no, we will. And of course, the man himself, who has been intimately involved with the clubs for many, many years, Mr. Herman Abrams. Hello, Mr. H.
Good evening, JP.
Hoe was die Gatsby's voor die naweek?
Niet te slecht, nee. I just must tell you this, we will have to perhaps change from a Wednesday night.
Yeah, why?
I've heard yesterday, and it worried me a bit. Danny can, sort of allude to it. One of the gentlemen that came to visit us said, look, he has now changed. Every Wednesday he watches the show, which has made that he doesn't go to prayer meetings anymore. And it worries me that we are taking people away from.
Yeah, that worries me as well, because if you're not going to the prayer meetings, who's going to speak on my behalf? All right, folks. Yeah. Yes. Anyway, so let's get straight into it now. Now we've got so many clubs' results, logs, and fixtures to look at. We still want to look at Super 15, and not to mention the fact that Super Brew is up in the mix there. Jerome Parvater, by the way, is back in Cape Town. He'll be back on the show with us, of course, next week. But let's start now with the last set of results over the weekend. Some interesting results, and there you see it on the screen right now. Helderberg, well, they went down to UCT, 34 points to 8 in the previous week. 33-31 for SK Woomers over Tigerberg. Durbel, 59-28 win for them over Belleville. FNB Marties, well, it was a win for them, 29-7 over Hamiltons. And Belhar losing to Vix, 32 points to 28. While in Super League B, it was Hands and Hearts beating Brackenfell, 33-31. NNK, 65-12 over Hamlets. Villagers losing to Primrose, 51-0. And Goodwood, well, UWC beat them 38 points to 13. Gentlemen, we can start here at the beginning. Helderberg and UCT, it was a solid win there for UCT Morgs. I mean, if we think about, they've been battling a little bit in the Varsity Cup, and now they seem to be finding a bit of momentum. Well, I know it's early days, but they're now getting it started, and Helderberg's not a weak side.
Yeah, look, I mean, Helderberg obviously, have just come up, and they got a good win in the first round, and then they struggled in the last two rounds. But UCT, I see they're starting to hit their straps. I know they've had a bit of issues with coaching, and some guys coming in, and their head coach can't always be there. So I know they've got some guys stepping in. But yeah, I mean, look, they're putting together nicely, and to get a win like that over Helderberg, I think is a step in the right direction for them.
Danny, Helderberg's been quite strong. I mean, they're beginning to get nicely into the mix, and that pack of forwards that they've got, they're rather intimidating.
No, certainly. Look, they beat Tigerberg.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that they a walkover, as the score would suggest against UCT. But we're in for the long haul. It's not a sprint. The season is a marathon. So we'll see at the end.
But it's kind of funny how people are already predicting the outcome.
No, look, that will always be, people like predicting outcomes because it gives them a sense of that they think they understand the game.
Yeah.
But we've seen over the years that the league is only one. As Nasbota said, the Currie Cup isn't one in May, it's one in September. So
yeah.
I reckon the same year.
And if there's ever a guy who knew how to win a Currie Cup, it would be him. Anyway, Durbel, or at least let's look at the other result there, the interesting result. And this was, of course, a bit of a derby match. Was between Tigerberg and SK Woomers. And SK Woomers coming away with a 2-point win there, 33-31 over Tigerberg. Mr. H, a monster match for two teams that, and we spoke about this we saw this in the Club Rugby newsletter, that these are two teams who are both competing for the wild card as a previously disadvantaged team to go play in the Community Cup. Yeah. And I think Tigerberg probably wanted to take their opportunity to show why it is that they're the better previously disadvantaged club.
Yeah, well, they both scored 4 tries in the game, which was good for the big crowd that was there. And I think, SK Woomers now will, sort of have a one over Piet Jooste for the time being. But they must still go back. And so, yeah, but just to look at the others, you know, for instance, Belha, they thought that they had it in the bag. And right on time, he scored a try that, you know, they gave them the game.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting to see, you know, and I thought that Belha, that would be the one that Belha would win of the, you know, so that they can stay up. But they're in a fair position at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. The other big game, folks, over the weekend was, of course, Hamilton's, who played against Marty's over the weekend. And a lot of people were expecting that this was the game to look out for, as Hamilton's sort of had their first test of the season against Marty's. And, well, it didn't quite work out for Hamilton's there on the day, losing to Marty's, who proved that they are maybe the outfit that everyone expects them to be. What they're going to do still in the rest of the season remains to be seen. But Morgs, I think we have to throw this one at you, because you are, after all, closer to the bone there, so to speak. What went wrong for Hamilton's?
Yeah, look, I think, James, Hamilton's, you know, we came up against a good side, and like we said, like we spoke last week, was the fact that, you know, Hamilton's hadn't played. I mean, every game they'd played up until Stellenbosch last week, they'd won by 50 or 60 points, you know. So now you come up the first week against a side where Stellenbosch, who decided to come out and play some decent rugby, and you come out and you sort of, in your face in the.
Do you think Stellenbosch wasn't playing decent rugby before this?
No, well, look, I mean, Stellenbosch, from having spoken to the guys, they weren't happy with their performance against SK Warmers the week before.
Yeah.
And obviously the backlash from Varsity Cup and all that, you know, the guys are slowly getting into the league. And now they've come out and they've played their first proper league game where they've dropped their heads and really played some good rugby. And Hamilton's on the flip side are playing their first game where it's actually competitive and there's no sort of big winning margin. So, yeah, it's a tough one for Hamilton's, but I think it's a good one to get early in the season.
Mr. H, do you think Hamilton's now would be in a situation that they would have had their first test and have a better idea as to how they're going to do?
Yeah, surely, and I think they will, they'll make work of it.
Yeah.
I think other clubs wouldn't think that that's the end of Hamilton's.
Yeah.
They will be there at the end. They will be there. They will be on the top.
All right, folks. So those are your Super League A results. But if we move now to Super League B, and we take a look there, Hands and Hearts and Brackenfell, that was very much a derby match. 33-31 win for them. Only a 2-point win there, Mr. H. I think Hands and Hearts were looking for a bigger win.
Yeah, they probably thought that they could score a big runaway victory. But as it is, they are also not, at full potential as I can see it.
Yeah.
But hopefully they will do better soon.
Danny,
I think they also have the same problems, early problems about coaching and
they've had some changes
staff. So it takes a while.
I mean, one of the teams that's sticking out at the moment in Super League B is NNK. Danny, this is a team that was on the border of making it into Super League A last year. And they really are showing why it is that they could have played in Super League A. But beating Hamlet 65 points at 12, is this an unfair match?
I don't think so, JP. I think that NNK, they must probably reassess their whole season previously, and they put in systems in place, and I think they're quite focused on doing well this year. Unfortunately for Hamlet, they were promoted into this league, and I do think that they're still trying to find their feet.
So again, we've got a scenario of what is almost a 3-league gap. It's a big gap between. Mr. H, you were talking about this. NNK didn't go up, but they were almost. You can almost say there's like a Super League A side playing against a Premier League A side.
I mean, they played in the Super League A before.
And anyway, let's take a look at the other result there. Of course, UWC playing against Goodwood over the weekend. Goodwood just not getting into the mix, and UWC getting stronger and stronger by the week.
Yes, I'm watching their performances with interest, because of the Varsity Shield, and I see that they will soon be, right at the top of this log.
Yeah.
If they continue the way they are going.
Definitely seem to be stabilizing there. Well, folks, those were your Super League B results. But the one team that we went to check out over the weekend, and it was great to get down to the home ground there to watch what would almost be considered a before and after back in the day scenario, get the neighborhood together derby. It was Villagers up against Primrose, and Primrose for the first time playing actually at Villagers. It was an exciting match. Didn't quite go in the favour of Villagers. It certainly went all in the favour of Primrose, but there were definitely some positives. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from the match between Villagers and Primrose at Brookside. There you go. Massive win for Primrose, 51-0 against Villagers, and I'm sure the guys from Villagers would, under normal circumstances, be thinking, what on earth is going on? And their heads could be dropping a little bit. But before we speak about the kind of where Villagers is going in the season, and there's some interesting things coming up on that, let's just look at it from a rugby point of view. Mr. H, you were at the game. This wild running rugby, there's almost no defense for it.
Yeah, I was very impressed with the number 15 and and the way the lines that they ran. But you could see there from the clips, the ball went out wide every time. And as you say, it's difficult to control that kind of running. And Villagers, they tried to stem the tide, but it was impossible.
Yeah.
In fact, if there wasn't a bit of selfishness creeping in after halftime, I think Primrose could have scored much more. But then everybody sort of tried to go score.
I mean, I sort of have this feeling that, you can put 15 crazy kids on the park, and you can put the Stormers' defense against them, and the Stormers' defense won't know how to work it out because you've got 15 crazy kids. I mean, Danny, how do you feel about that?
Well, one is to expect anything, when you have 15 crazy kids.
Yeah.
So I suppose the fact that they're crazy would mean that, they'll break whatever needs to be broken. And so
I mean, you've played in the Stormers and Western Province and in the Springbok structures. Loose running rugby, surely that's harder to defend than very structured, disciplined rugby.
Yeah, no, Japes, I mean, look, at the highest level, when analysing teams, if you come up against guys that have just individual flair, then there's really no defensive structure in the world that can, because you don't know what he's going to do, and you never know what he's going to do.
Yes.
Whereas you come up against a side, sort of, that play to a certain pattern, that know you're putting the ball up in this place, and the guys and the individual brilliance is taken away from them, and it's very easy to defend, So I must say, if you look at Primrose there, as soon as the ball's loose and the game's open, then I wouldn't want to be on the defending side. I can tell you that much.
Isn't this a lesson for? This should be a lesson for coaches who watch too much TV. Is club rugby with the limited amount of practice time that you have is always going to be running rugby. And if you want to win games, spread the ball wide.
Yeah, look, James. I've worked even with Herman Masimla and the coach of Primrose. And again, there's another coach. The same with Peter de Villiers, who I've also worked with. Is that these are the guys that are encouraging individual brilliance. They're encouraging guys to play what you see in front of you. And I mean, what you see in front of you changes every single game you play. And if you can coach a player to play what he sees and you know, use his own individual flair, then you shouldn't have a problem with attacking with sort of, you know, all-out attacking sort of structures.
I've always thought if you just play rugby as if you're scared for your life, then you can just score tries. Just play rugby like there's an Alsatian behind you. But yeah, I think that there is a difference in terms of people who are naturally big want to run over you, and people who are naturally small want to run around you. And we still have smaller players in the lower divisions, and they are playing running rugby. And if you don't have the ability to counter that, somehow we're going to see big scores, right?
Yeah, no, I'm sure that, you know, we will always see big scores in our club rugby. As Morgan was saying, you know, when people start running like that, some people expect when the ball goes into the scrum, from the scrum off it will go to the fly off, and the fly off will pass to, and suddenly.
It sounds like a song.
Yeah,
I know that song. I don't know that song. Morgs, you and Danny probably know that.
We sang it many a time.
The fly off to the center, from the center to the wing. But now, you know, suddenly somebody in between doesn't stick to that.
Yeah.
And he just cuts through the whole lot, and then your whole defensive pattern is gone.
I'll never forget Louis de Villiers, who writes for the Report, spoke about Brayton Paulson. I think I've mentioned this on the show before. He said, Brayton Paulson is soos 'n stuk seep in die bad. Jy weet waar hy is, maar jy kan hom nie in die hande kry nie.
Nee, dis waar.
And let's catch up with the losing captain and coach of Villagers, Roland Evans and Rito Klongwane. Let's see what the boys had to say. Folks, we're catching up here today with the losing coach of Villagers. Also took to the field today, and I'm thrilled to say he's wearing socks, otherwise he'd be towering about another foot above me. Rito, tough game today.
Yeah, very tough. Huh? Primrose boys came out guns blazing, and they really dominated us today.
Players seem to be a little bit more motivated. I know it sounds a little bit weird, but after the Hamilton's game, they do look like the chin is a little bit up.
Yeah, look, this is a building process. After we got relegated, lost a lot of players, the fact that we've gone really amateur now, we are building up. You know, it's going to take some time, but we'll get it right.
Well, I must say, I think you guys should be commended for the fact that you've stood your ground and decided not to pay players, which is, you know, admirable, and hopefully then everything else that attracts one to rugby will draw the guys, like passion and excitement and the love for the game.
Yes, JP, that's what we're trying to get right. You know, money is a bit of a problem, you know, getting sponsors and stuff like that. We've chosen to go amateur and want to build this club from scratch, get the passion right, get the vibe right, and that's what we're looking for.
Well, that's what it's all about. It's about the passion and the vibe and the love for rugby. So, once again, Rito, thanks for chatting with us. You've become your regular face in the show. You know?
Thanks, James. All the best.
Okay. There you go. There we go, folks. This is the captain of Villagers, Roland Evans. Roland, tough day at the park for you guys today.
Yeah, it's the old cliche. We were our own worst enemies. No discredit to Primrose. They did bring it out today, and they came out firing. But once again, you know, we're just going to have to look within ourselves and keep motivated, as hard as that seems sometimes. But I think the boys have faith in the system, and they love the game, and they love the area, and they love the tradition of the club. So I think we've got a core group of guys that I think are willing to take a couple of knocks on the chin, but are just as willing to come back and fight back and enjoy the wins in the future, hopefully. Yeah.
Well, that sounds well said, and I was watching you during the game, and it looked like you were sort of leading from the front there in terms of the words that you were saying to the guys was a lot about motivation and keeping them inspired for the duration of the game.
Yeah, the main thing is just remaining positive. You know, a lot of the guys, it's easy to drop your chins after 2 or 3 tries have been scored against you through 3 or 4 missed tackles in a row. But you know, there's no point in sulking and keeping the chin down. The only way is to go forward is to keep your chin up and keep pressing. I mean, it's easy to beat a beaten enemy.
Well, once again, well done in your spirit of the game. And folks, that's a wrap from us here at Brookside, where of course it was a victory for Primrose over Villagers. We'll see you guys after the break. Rito Klongwane and Roland Evans, they're the captain and coach of Villagers, and I know Z from Primrose is also there now, who's been helping out. But Rito, playing on the day, Morgs, when the team is down and the captain and the coach decide okay, I'm going to, because they had a last minute injury, and I think that's one of the reasons why Rito jumped in as well. But good to see that the coach knows he needs to help his team and help his boys, puts on the boots and goes and gets the job done.
Yeah, look, I mean, James, Rita was an unbelievable rugby player. I mean, a few years, he's just now, I think 2 or 3 years ago, you know, he played for Western Province and for the Vodacom Cup side, and he led them with aplomb, you know. So, yeah, I mean, if a coach like that can lead by example, put on his boots and come out and still have a storming game, then there's no reason why the team definitely won't pick themselves up from this and take sort of a leaf out of his cap and go and start pulling together and get some results, I'm sure.
Yeah, I know that one of the things that was evident there is, I mean, I know Villagers lost the game, but certainly in the line-out against Rito, it was like, you know, it was chalk and cheese. I mean, Danny, a guy like Rito is always going to dominate, coming from a provincial structure and the height that he is. He's going to dominate in most club games.
Absolutely. I believe he was one of the better players on the field on the day. And as Morgan said, you know, Rito isn't a provincial player. And he played quite well there for Western Province, and he stamped his authority in many of the games. Yeah. And so I would expect him to stamp his authority when he runs onto the field.
Yeah. Well, the folks that did stamp their authority on the field on the day was, of course, Primrose. Primrose having a fantastic game there of running rugby and scoring a lot of tries, and maybe the drift defence of Villagers just a little bit slow to catch up with those running backs. But we did manage to catch up with the winning captain and coach of Primrose, and it was Kurtley van Veren and Rida Adams. Let's see what the boys had to say. Rida, it's going well for you guys at the moment so far in Super League B. Big win for you over Villagers. It's a match that you've probably been dying to play for a long time.
Yeah, most definitely. We've been working hard on the field, and I think it's just paying off in game time. The guys practice 3 to 4 times a week, and it shows their commitment in the match that they really want to do good at the end of the day. So well done to the boys.
Was it your plan today to come out and run the ball wide? You had some incredible backline play.
Well, at first we didn't know what type of rugby Villagers played or was going to play on the day. So we had to come out with our own game plan and force our own game plan onto the game. And when it was there for the taking, I think the guys did well, and the passes stick, and the scores says it everything.
Well, congratulations. I think you guys are going to be a dominant force in Super League B this year.
Thank you, JP.
Kurtley, julle seker noppies in die skik vandag. Goeie resultaat vir julle.
Ag, ek is baie bly vir die wen. Ek wil net sê ek is net bly die man het in die strukture gebly. Ons het defense structures, ons het attacking structure, hulle net daan gebly en dis waar ons die vrugte vanaand gepluk het.
Voel dit spesiaal vir die spelers vandag? Ek meen julle is bure, julle die twee spanne Villagers en Primrose is al jare in dieselfde buurt en vandag vir die eerste keer dink ek speel julle te mekaar. Hoe voel dit?
Ag, al twee klubs is al oor die 100 jaar en die eerste keer wat hulle teen mekaar speel en om so 'n groot wen te kry beteken baie vir die manne en vir die vorige manne wat vir die Rose gespeel het. Dus ons gee dit vir hulle.
Het julle vandag Rose gesing in die change room?
Soos altyd, soos altyd.
Soos altyd, Rose. Fantastic there, folks. Wel gedaan en ons kyk voort om te sien hoe julle doen in die seisoen.
Ag, baie dankie, JP.
It was the age for a club that was, so to speak, on the other side of the fence, and then Villagers on the other side of the fence, and these two teams coming from the same neighborhood and putting it together on a park today. I'm sure the Primrose, and the supporters were out there in the droves. Primrose fans and players must be very happy with this result.
Yeah, I've found it strange. I was sitting there in the corner and listening to some of the old timers, who actually felt sorry for Villagers and said, I heard the one comment, this club produced a lot of Springboks,
Yeah.
And look, we're beating them, and maybe things are not going as well with them. And then the other one said, no, but that's okay, man. We must also now it's our time to get up there, So there's a lot to play for in this whole scenario, I think in any other system, that would have been one club.
Yeah. Let's catch up with the man of the match now. Bossy Clark, a president of Villagers and a former Western Province Rugby stalwart, a man who has been in rugby for many, many years and a very experienced player and coach in his day, was there to hand over the check, the Tata Man of the Match check. And this week it went to the fullback of Primrose, Nasido Peterse. Let's see what they had to say. Reg mense, ons Tata man of the match vandag is die heel agter van Primrose, Nikito Peterson. Nikito, jy seker happy met hierdie performance vandag, né?
Baie ja.
'n man van baie woorde hierso van Primrose. Nikito, kom staan by my, maar nou is jy nervus wees nie. Jong, die mense van Tata, Oostenburg en Parel het vir jou R1000 vandag, nie oor jou gesprek abilities nie, maar liewers oor jou rugby abilities. Jy het dan lekker gespeel vandag, het lyk my die agterlyne vandag baie weggekom en vir jou in spasie gesit.
Yes, ek wil net baie dankie sê vir al die coaching staf wat vir my die geleentheid gegee het om weer 'n kans te kry in die first team. Ek het wel op dinge gestaan, maar ek wil baie dankie sê vir my spanmaats, was dit nie vir hulle nie om met te ondersteun op die veld en vir my supporters en my ouers buitekant. Dat was dit vir my moeilik om man of the match te wees vandag.
Wel gedaan en soos met tradisie, as die mense van Tata, Oostenburg en Parel nou nie hier is nie, dan vra ons die president van die tuisspan om vir jou die check te gee. En die president hierso by Villages en hy's nou al lankal hierso by Villages is meneer Bossie Clark en ons gaan vra vir hom vir jou die check te bring. Here we go, folks. This is R1,000 courtesy of Tata, the man of the match check there. Bossie, a solid result for Primrose today. Not quite going your way though.
No, not really, but I think it's so nice to see that our neighbours can play such good rugby. And congratulations, I really believe they played very well, and the type of rugby they played is actually excellent. So yeah, we back to the board again, but the decision to not pay players, it's going to be a difficult one. We made that decision, we've got to see it through, and hopefully it'll get better, you know, but there are little things to improve on, but as I said, we've made that decision. Let's see what's going to happen. You know, it's difficult, very difficult though.
Well, by the looks of things, if you can tap into the kind of crowds that are supporting in Super League B and the crowds that came out today to support Primrose, you might have a full house every game.
Well, exactly that. We've got good neighbours, so hopefully they'll tap in here as well. They're welcome anytime.
Fantastic stuff, folks. That's a wrap for us from Villages, where, of course, it was a victory for Primrose on the day. And Bosie, to you and your guys, thanks for the hospitality. And Nikito, weer eens wel gedaan. Daar's weer R1000. Onthou, jy kan hom nou nie in 'n masjien druk nie. Jy moet gaan haal. There we go, folks. We'll be back with you after the break. Congratulations there to Nikito Peterson, who wins for himself R1,000 courtesy of Tata. Of course, Tata Oostenburg and Tata Paarl. You want to check out those Tata vehicles, make sure you get down to one of those branches. But $1,000 for a club rugby player. And gentlemen, I suppose now is the opportunity for us to talk about the dilemma that Villages is facing itself. And it's been far too long, and I had a very interesting chat with Bossie Clark after the Villages match. And it's been far too long now that people are complaining about the results and they're complaining about the points. And the one thing that they have done is that they've now categorically stated that they refuse to pay. And I think that this could potentially play a leadership role in the history of Western Province Rugby, where a team who's been in Super League A for its entire history is coming to essentially what is the real world of club rugby, which is the other 90% of rugby out there. Now, Mr. H, I know we can always look at the points, and we can always worry about the money, but afterwards, they took 50 points. Afterwards, there were 50 players in that bar having an absolute jaw. It is not about the money.
No, definitely not about the money. I mean, if you look at all the other clubs that play every Saturday, there's no money involved, but they're there. You know, even if they lose week after week, they're there. They enjoy being there.
So that's right. So there's a lesson to be learned for Villages from the other clubs.
Yeah.
That if you don't pay, you can still enjoy your rugby and still have a big club with lots of fans. Daniel, you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely, but I was just thinking, JP, as you were saying, they were enjoying themselves after the game. Maybe they were drowning their sorrows.
Maybe they were, but they were certainly doing it in a well-disguised manner. But the interesting thing here is, if you look at it from the perspective of, we're not going to pay players, and we're going to build a culture. Some of the clubs in the lower divisions have for many years said, well, we can't be what the other advantaged clubs are because we don't have the money. Now, Villages has got an opportunity here to be the role model for the clubs to say, even for those clubs from a previously disadvantaged area, to say, now, we are one of you. We are having the same problems. We don't have money. So they can be a role model. And in this case, it could be a situation of not everyone's pointing fingers at Villages, but rather saying, look at how Villages are going about turning this club around, and they're doing it categorically without paying.
Yeah, and the other thing that struck me very forcibly was, here's a club that's struggling, but they still have the discipline in the club structures. Every single team was kitted in the gear of villages, you know.
Yeah.
They all had the same, and it looked smart, and it looked like something that's going to happen there. So to me, there's a lot for villages, you know, that can happen still. And the fact that they still have the players there, a lot of players, they've got a lot of players there. And I'm sure that, you know, very shortly, and guys like Bossy Clark, I mean, they experienced guys, you know, and he's a real gentleman, so I'm sure.
I mean, they've got such culture, such history, such heritage, and their value and belief system is, I mean, Morgs, you've played in that neck of the woods. It's really for them, I know they want to play winning rugby, but there's such a father-son culture there. My father played for Villages, my grandfather played for Villages. Our belief system is you play for sportsmanship, you play for your partners, you play for your teammates, you play for your coach. All of that can be said before you start talking about playing to win.
No, Jess, I mean, look, Villages on its own and the rich heritage that it has, I mean, it stands head and shoulders above lots of clubs, you know, and the fact that they now have done this by dropping to another division and still holding that heritage and that culture that money doesn't buy, and that, you know, that's making them stand up head and shoulders above everyone else.
It's interesting that you said that. Money doesn't buy that. You can't buy that community, that culture. You can't buy it for all the love of money, Danny.
No, for sure. I mean, if you look at the history of Villages, they're the second oldest club in the Western Province, if not South Africa. And surely the fact that they're that old, you know, professionalism is only in for the last 15 years. So obviously it meant that the values were one of the things that kept them going. So they're probably going back to their values and saying we're here to enjoy the game. Yeah. And you can't buy passion.
You can't buy
passion. It. Exactly. So I think that they learned some hard lessons, but from Western Province side, we're happy still to have Villages amongst us, and we're quite blessed to have a team with a heritage, and we wish them well, and we want them to succeed, as we want all of our 90 teams to succeed.
Right, folks, there you go. And as I say, I think that there's a lesson in it, and I think you can watch out for Villages actually playing the role of a role model of what it is that you come from being an advantage club to being a normal club, one that doesn't pay, and how do you act under that sort of adversity. So you want to know what it is like to get knocked down. It's not a question of getting knocked down. It's about how many times you can get up. So Villages, to the players out there, seriously, you've got so much to be proud of. So the players out there, really just keep enjoying it, because we're watching how you are going to respond to this. And I think you and your players and your management, you do honestly have a lot going for you. Well, we'll leave it in your hands, and we'll see how things turn out for you during the rest of the season, because I'm sure that all those other clubs that have never come to play at Brookside are now going to be out there at Brookside and having an absolute jaw, which means that quite possibly next year Villages might have a few new players from a couple of other teams. That's going to be interesting. We're going to take an ad break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at the rest of the results logs and fixtures in the club ranks. Back with you in a moment. If you want to know what's happening in the world of club rugby, that's the place to be. Come and check out the Facebook page, and don't forget Twitter. Everybody on a Saturday now is on Twitter, and it's that back channel, and it's just absolutely pouring with information, #WP Club Rugby, and that's where you can see the results coming in live from so many of the games during the season. Let's look now at the results in Premier League A, and there we see Silurians beating Macassar 46-12, Collegians 26-7 over Elsies Rivier, Kraaifontein 57-27 over Rangers, St. George's beating Paarl 31-24, while in Premier League B, it was a 5-point win for the Strand over Manenberg Rangers, Van der Stel beating Langa, Young Peoples beating Silvertree, Franschhoek losing to Strand United, and Milnerton 28-9 over Eerste Rivier. Premier League A and B results. Gentlemen, the big chat we had about last week was going to be this massive derby between Silurians and Macassar. And Macassar was, I know Godfrey Africa was talking about how Macassar were going to go take on Silurians at Silurians' home ground. Didn't work out for them.
No, I think they came a bit short there on the field. Silurians, I think, you know, thought, let's show them now who's the boss in this Helderberg-com, you know. You come to us, we'll beat you, and hopefully we'll do the same.
Danny, you think Macassar was maybe a little bit too confident?
Could be, but I do think that Silurians, they do have a good structure. There's some good coaches there. Wayne is coaching there. They have some good players.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, the passion of John Brits behind the team.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's enough woema to get them going.
Is he quite a exuberant personality?
Very exuberant, especially when the team plays.
All right, then, well done to Solarians beating Macassar there. We thought that those were honestly going to be the two teams to watch out for in that league there. And then if we take a look at Milnerton, well, it looks like Milnerton were under the leadership of Ishmael Dolly and Adi Jacobs there, consistently staying a winning team.
Yeah, James, look, I mean, Ish and Adi obviously forming a good combination. We saw them play fairly well, but coming short in the preseason games. So I think they lost the right games at the right time of the year, and now they're coming into the league and starting to, you know, pick up 1 or 2 results and just quietly going about their business.
All right, folks, before we go to the rest of the results, some of you would have been on the old Western Province Club Rugby website forum, all right? So those of you that are watching the show right now, I've got a surprise for you. You remember the old T-shirt, the Western Province Club Rugby T-shirt? Well, there you see it on the screen right now. This is the members-only T-shirt, and if you want to stand a chance to win one of these replica items, SMS us to 33280. Just SMS the word rugby and your name. Mr. H, you remember this? Kloof, Boy Troubles, Bola, Cape Flats, Munib, Lucky.
Josh K.
Josh K is there. Tier 2, Rafik, Ice Cape Flats. This is going back a couple of days.
Yeah. And they were very, very, very vocal.
Very vocal.
On what they were saying, you know, and I think a lot of them at times had to be hauled in and hauled back.
Yeah. Well, I see that chat zone is now getting as vocal again in the discussion about Primrose and Collegians. So go check it out on the Western Province Club Rugby website, www.wpclubrugby.co.za, and you can find that forum. So once again, SMS us, 33280, and this is the chat zone T-shirt. You can put yourself in the mix to win this members-only T-shirt. There's still a couple left from back in the day. It's as easy as that. Let's take a look now at the results in Division 1 and 2. And there we see Violets beating Atlantis, Northerns 30-25 over Silverleaf. Boerland and Mark B, those are busy bees, losing to Lagunya. That was another derby match. Wraithby, it was a 50-14 win for them over Rocklands. Stel Coronations beating Hamadias in Division 2. Young Wesley's beating Blue Jets. Watsonia losing to Masipumulele 40-5, while Caledonian Roses beat Gardens Tech. All Saints 32-15 over Blue Stars. And in Division 3, we see Cloutiesville losing to Strand Pioneers. Temperance and Perseverance drawing 10-all. Richmond Rangers and Imikawi, it was a win for Imikawi, 28-5. Retreat losing to Whistling Wheels, and Peninsula beating Young Ideas. While in Division 4, while Progress beat Titans 19 points to 9, or at least to 10, and Thistle, a big win for them, 55-0 over Cities. In the Paarl region, we see a win for Allendale, a win for Simondium, we see a win for Lower Paarl, we see a win for Violets Paarl, and Vineyards beating Paarl Rangers 23 points to 17, while Peril United doing a little bit better, drawing with Vintmill United. Then in the Simonsburg region, folks, and this is of course the Paarl, or at least the Farm League, and we're so eagerly watching their performance in that Farm League. What a great division. Excelsior beating Lankiodok 38-17, Lamotte beating the Blue Swallows, Fora over Lewandley, it was a victory for them, and the Pumas, or the Pumas, beating Blue Stars rural side 24 points to 12. So congratulations to those other teams that had victories there. Time for us to take an ad break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the logs before we start moving our attention to the pro circuit. Don't forget to get those cell phones handy. The Evox competition is coming up shortly. Back with you in a moment.
Hi, I'm Kobani Bobo, and you're watching Cape Rugby TV.
Yes, Evox is, of course, the official sports nutrition supply to Western Province Rugby and the DHL Stormers. Your cell phone, keep it handy right now. You are going to need to SMS the word Evox to 33280. In a couple of minutes' time, I'll tell you what that competition is. Let's take a look now at the logs in Super League A. And there we see on the top, it's UCT, Durbell, SK Warmers, Marties, Hamiltons, Belhar, Vix, Helderberg, and at the bottom it's Tigerberg and UCT. Morgs, Hammies, it didn't take long for them to drop down. UCT straight to the top with 13 points after 3 games.
Yeah, look, UCT are there. You easily see how quickly you can bounce back from a result that doesn't necessarily go your way. So, yeah, UCT are in the right side of the table now. So, yeah, but hopefully they can stay there.
Absolutely. Let's take a look now at the logs in Super League B. And Belleville are on the top there. Oh, they're quite on the top with 2 points. But Primrose are on top with 14 points. And False Bay on top with 14 points. So those two teams seem to be doing the best in Super League B. While in Premier League A, Silurians on 15 points, Kraaifontein on 15 points. In Premier League B, we see Young Peoples and Milnerton sharing first and second spots, while in Division 1, Busy Bees and Silver Leaf are in first and seconds, Hamadias and Rocklands making up the bottom there. Division 2, Masipumalela's continues to do well, and All Saints in second place. Division 3, Strand Pioneers and Imikawi in first and second, and Retreat at the bottom on just 3 points. While in Division 4, it's Khayelitsha and Bishop Lavers sharing the honours in first and second place, and Cities and Delft right down at the bottom. In the Paarl region, Liverpool on 15 points, leading there, and Vineyards on 14 points. The game that we will be going to over the weekend, and make sure you get down there because there is no other rugby in the Strand area, is Strand Pioneers up against Perseverance, all right? So there are some interesting games coming up for you this weekend. Let's take a look at those fixtures now. One of them will be, of course, Pioneers and Perseverance. Marty's take on Durban at the Craven Stadium. It's Belleville and Belhar, Helderberg and Vix, Tygerberg and UCT, Hamiltons and SK Warmers. That's all coming up on Saturday. And in Super League B, it's NNK and UWC, Primrose and Hands and Hearts. Mr. H, NNK and UWC, that's going to be a tough match.
Yes, that's number 4, number 5 on the log at the moment. And both of them are still unbeaten. So it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah. Danny, Durbel and Marty's, they take on each other. Of course, Marty's again got home team advantage. Durbel coming out of the Community Cup. Marty's coming out of the Varsity Cup. But both teams very strong at the moment.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to that game, and I'm hoping that we'll get a surprise. But the Marty's is the Marty's at home, you know, that's almost a fortress. Danny Craven Stadium is a fortress for the Marty's. So, but I'm sure Durbel will give it a go, and you'll be surprised at the end of the day.
Well, we will see. We'll see what the results are. Morgs Hamilton's take on SK Warmers. Of course, Hammy's got a home ground advantage this weekend. But it's going to be a tough match. SK Warmers have been playing some good rugby. Also coming out of the Community Cup. And Hammies would be looking to bounce back after the loss to Marty's.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, they are, call it neighbours, if you want to call it that, just across the road. So they'll be walking, probably doing the warm-up in their own field and walking across to play the game. So, yeah, no, it'll be an interesting battle. SK Warmers, like you say, coming off a good win. And Hamiltons, I think, want to sort of, lift it after not such a good performance against Stellenbosch.
Well, we wish them the best of luck to both teams there. The neighbours playing the neighbours. In Premier League A, there's some interesting fixtures. It's Rangers up against Macassar, Penil Villages and Collegians, while in Premier League B, Esterofir and Strand and Manenberg Rangers take on Milnerton. Hamadias are squaring off against Violets in Division 1. Caledonian Roses take on Watsonia. Strand Pioneers and Perseverance. Peninsula take on Cruiseville. Cities and Titans, Progress and Police. The game that we are at, of course, over the weekend is Perseverance up against Strand Pioneers. They are playing at the Abattoir Field. Strand Pioneers have taken this the bit in the teeth, so to speak. Not a day after, which is now last week Monday, that we told them we're going to come to the game. Not a day later did they already have a poster up with sponsors on it that say Cape Rugby TV is coming to this game. Strand Pioneers up against Perseverance. It's going to be a monster game. There's no other rugby in the Strand area, folks. So if you're living out in the Strand area, the Gordons Bay area, the Gastro area, come down to Abattoir on Saturday and come and support Strand Pioneers as they take on Perseverance. And if you want Perseverance, get in your car, come down and watch that game. But congratulations to the guys at Strand Pioneers for taking full advantage of having a television show back them up to make sure that there's lots of marketing and exposure about this upcoming game. Danny, that's what we're looking for from clubs.
Yes, definitely. But JP, I need to declare my interest. I used to play rugby for Perseverance back in the days. So for me, it's only one winner, Perseverance.
Okay, so you've drawn the battle line, so to speak there. That's absolutely fine. So, yeah, that's where we are this weekend, folks. Strand Pioneers up against Perseverance. Come down to Strand at Abattoir this coming weekend. Kick off at 4 o'clock, all right? And you can, of course, see the picture, the invite there on the screen right now. Look at that poster. Fantastic work to Tyreek and his team. Cape Rugby TV will be at Abattoir, and there you see that they didn't waste any time, even getting some sponsors onto their posters to take advantage of the fact that Cape Rugby TV, which features on Cape Town TV, is going to be at the game. That's what you do, folks. It's as easy as that. You start putting your marketing material together, and if you had come to the media sessions, you would have learned how to do this. So come to the media and social media sessions, learn about media, learn about marketing, learn about databases, learn about social media, learn about encouraging your fans to come to the games. Because I can tell you right now, if you want to take a leaf out of a club who's starting to get it right, Elsie's Rafir, Hands and Hearts, Strand Pioneers, there we see it. And we're going to be following Villages doing exactly the same thing in terms of getting fans to the game, which will encourage players to play for their club. Let's look at the fixtures now in the Paarl region. Some interesting games there. Pearl United take on Young Gardens, Vineyards and Lower Paarl, Allendale, Young Standards, Vindpel United, Paarl Rangers, Albion's Violets, Simbonium, River Stones. Big games in the Paarl region. Make sure you get out there. Time for us to take an ad break. When we come back, we'll start wrapping it up with Pro Rugby. Back with you in a sec.
Hi, I'm Bob Skinstead and you're watching Cape Rugby TV.
Well, John Dobson's Vodacom Cup team seems to be doing pretty well. They had a 34-27 win over SV Deer over the weekend. But this weekend, it's Western Province away, the Vodacom Cup side, taking on the Free State 15 at Bloemfontein. Going to be a tough match, Danny.
Definitely. Free State is a good team, but we need to win, JP, to get our home quarterfinals and our home semi-final. At the moment, we're second on the log, so we're hoping that we will win this weekend.
So best of luck then to John Dobson and his team. We need that home semi-final, so get in the mix there. Good luck to the Province boys. We know that you've got a lot of guys coming out of the club rugby ranks who are playing in the Vodacom squad, so make sure that you bring back a win for us out of Bloemfontein. Leisure Hotels is, of course, one of our keen supporters here at the Cape Rugby TV show. If you want to win for yourself a night's accommodation, bed and breakfast at the Strand Towers, one of the amazing hotels in Cape Town, just SMS the word leisure to 33280. Leisure, L-E-I-S-U-R-E. Keep your cell phones handy. We've got the Evox competition coming up next. SMS the word leisure and your name to 33280 to put yourself in the mix to win that that fantastic prize. Right, it is, of course, Super 15 time, but before we do that, we want to give you an opportunity to win for yourself a Evox hamper. This week, once again, it is the Synergy Whey Protein. You want to win this as well as one of the Shaker 600s, courtesy of Evox Advanced Nutrition. That is, of course, the official sports nutrition supplier to Western Province Rugby and the DHL Stormers. Just SMS the word Evox to 33280 and tell us your name and what is the Stormers' favorite product. This shaker, very handy, very exciting. But of course, Super 15 coming up, and as I said, Evox is the official supplier there. Last week's winner for the Evox competition, and there you see it on your screen right now. Congratulations, Larry. Larry Coe wins that Evox hamper. Unfortunately, no tickets up for grabs right now, as the Stormers are, of course, away at the moment. The Stormers are taking on some seriously tough competition this weekend. They will be up against the Hurricanes. They have now got started, but they've got some of their players back. Yeben Etzebeth's back, Brian Abanner's back, as well as a couple of other superstars. Let's take a look at those fixtures now in the Super 15. The Stormers up against the Hurricanes, kicking off on Friday at 9:35. You can catch it on screen. The Reds are up against the Blues at 11:40. And on Saturday, it's the Chiefs and the Sharks, the Brumbies, the Force, the Bulls, the Waratahs, the Cheetahs and the Kings. The Crusaders take on the Rebels. Super Brew players and posers. This is your opportunity to see who did the worst in Super Brew and who did the best. Who was the player of the week? This week's player of the week. Congratulations to Fletter 10. He is the player of the week. And the poser, Fossie. Fossie was the poser. Fossie, you must get off the couch, my man. I think, Fossie, you need to learn a few things there from Fletter 10. Let's take a look now at our celebrity pool, though, because I think that there's a few people there that need to get off the couch. You'll see them here in the celebrity pool there you see on the screen right now. The yellow cap holder is... Are you kidding me? JP Rodier. That is completely unexpected. So, yeah, well done there to Morgan Newman, who still leads the pool. Congratulations, guys. This is, of course, my Super Brew cap, considering that I'm the best player of the week. Okay, or as we said, do it in the Cape. I say no. Nah. Okay. Do I suit the Cape Rugby structures now? No comment?
No comment.
Mr. H, you're a Bailchi Cup and buckle belt swinger in your society day, so don't pretend like you don't know. Danny, does it work?
I believe in short back and sides and no cap.
All right, well then, Jerome Parvat is of course not here this week, otherwise he would be here, but Jerome and Mr. H have dropped down the Super Brew pool there a little bit. Mr. H, what's going on?
I don't know. I have no idea what is happening.
All right, gentlemen, time for those Super Brew predictions. Now we're going to make them very snappy. Morgs, Hurricanes and the Stormers.
Stormers by 10, JP.
Danny, you want to give it a go?
Stormers by 10.
Mr. H?
Stormers 10.
I'm going to go with the Stormers by 7. The Reds take on the Blues in Brisbane. Morgs.
Reds 10.
Danny?
Blues by 3.
Red 6.
Red 6. I think I'm going to go with Danny on this one. I know that there's a couple of niggles at the Reds at the moment. The Blues, I'm going to go with the Blues by 6. The Chiefs take on the Sharks. This is going to be a very tough match for the Sharks. They're playing away in Hamilton. Of course, that's a Saturday match. Morgs, Chiefs or Sharks?
Chiefs 7.
Sharks by 6.
What's that?
Chiefs 12.
Chiefs 12. Yep, the Sharks have also got a couple of injury problems at the moment. They've got a couple of players in and out of the team at the moment. I would have to go with the Chiefs, and I'm going to go with the Chiefs by 9. The Brumbies take on the Force in Canberra, Morgs.
Brumbies by 12.
No, Brumbies by 20.
Brumbies 10.
I like the way Danny said. And then, of course, so the Brumbies are against the Force. Yes, I would have to say I'm going to go with the Brumbies by 14. The Bulls take on the Waratahs, Morgs.
Bulls 15.
Danny?
Bulls 12.
Bulls 6.
Bulls 6. I think I'm going to go the Waratahs on this one. I'm going to go Waratahs by 7, even if they're playing away. Cheetahs and the Kings in Bloemfontein, Morgs.
Jeff, I'm going to go Cheetahs by 5.
Danny?
Kings by 5.
Stage?
Cheetahs 15.
I'm going to go with the Cheetahs by 25. And then the Crusaders take on the yes, that's funny. The Crusaders take on the Rebels in Christchurch, Morgs.
Crusaders 25.
Danny?
Crusaders by 20.
10. Crusaders.
I'm going to go with the Crusaders by 32. All right, those are our Super Brew fixtures. Look how this whole panel is laughing at me. And I'm going to pull out all the stops now. We're getting to the end of it. Gentlemen, thank you very much. It's going to be an exciting game. For a weekend at least, folks. Join us at Strand Abattoir, where we are up for the match. Strand Pioneers against Perseverance. Get down there this Saturday. Cape Rugby is going to be there. Very exciting. Morgs, thanks for joining me. Best of luck for your match against SK Warmers this week.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Looking forward to it.
Danny, nice to have you here, and we hope to get you back on the show more often.
It's a pleasure for me to be here, and thank you, JP.
And Mr. H.
We'll see you in Strand on Saturday.
Gaan ons deur, gaan ons line.
Ons sal so gaan.
Ons gaan moet kyk hoe die kos is, né?
Wel, as daar nie kos is, dan draai jy sommer net daar by die hek om.
Ja, ek draai.
Maar JP, ek dink Mr. H moet liewes by Cities uitkom. Hulle soek vir hom daar, jy weet.
Soek hulle hom.
Hulle het nog nie gewen nie.
Oh, yeah, Mr. H, you're going to have to get down to Cities. Folks, that is a wrap, of course, on Cape Rugby TV. We'll see you again next week, same time, same place. Find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter, and, of course, go and check out the Western Province Club Rugby website. You can see all the clips and highlights and interviews there. That is a wrap. Have yourself a great rugby weekend. Bye-bye.